When we witnessed Baker Mayfield do this as a Carolina Panther, we thought he was crazy.
Oh boy.
Turns out he was sending out a bat signal to Sean McVay to let him know Baker was just a ram all along. He was being caged with the wrong animals. Now, Baker Mayfield was released on Monday, landed with the Rams on Tuesday, suited up and played on Thursday to help beat the only team that lost to a Saturday on Sunday. Thank you. Today, we will discuss how Baker Mayfield's 98-yard game-winning drive helped the Raiders become the first team since 1930 to lose 4 games with a double-digit lead at halftime. And before Baker led that heroic comeback, the Rams' win probability was 3%. Welcome back to the bottom of the AFC West, Raiders. I've been keeping your seat nice and warm. How much credit, though, should Baker get for that win? And what did the Congressional Dan Snyder investigation conclude? What does that mean for the league? Today we'll discuss That's Good Sports. Hey, if you think you'd be better with Sean McVay, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. I know it's not for great reasons, but right now you can get Broncos tickets for dirt cheap. You've been thinking about going to a game, maybe? Well, I'd use SeatGeek to get your tickets now. Lower level seats are going for less than $200. That's an amazing deal. The green dots in the app signify a good deal, and look, almost all the Broncos tickets are green. Speaking of green, just use my code THATSGOOD for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek to save some green. Based on how so many of my jokes don't land here on my channel, you probably didn't know I love to see stand-up comedians, and there's tons of great shows, and hopefully I'll take notes if I go and see someone like Bill Burr. Again, code THATSGOOD and feel good about your purchase, knowing every ticket is backed by SeatGeek's buyer guarantee, so you can return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. After President Biden successfully traded Russian arms dealer Victor Bout for WNBA star Brittany Griner, the Cleveland Browns are off the hook for the most controversial sports trade this year. And look, some of you are already pounding your dumb little keyboards. What about the Russell Wilson trade? What about that trade, Perna? Let me remind you, that was not truly a controversial trade. It was indeed celebrated. And if you think trading for Russell Wilson is worse than trading for a man accused of sexual misconduct and assault by dozens and dozens of women, I simply cannot help course correct your moral compass. I am excited, though, to see the first release of the official 2023 mock trades for human prisoners from Pro Football Focus. Obviously, I'm not going to discuss politics here, but when Russia finds out that Victor Bout is a horrible basketball player, they're gonna be so pissed. USA gets an A+ for this trade. Earlier in the week, the Titans fired GM John Robinson. This firing came after A.J. Brown thoroughly embarrassed his former team and made Robinson's trade of Brown look unforgivable. Go back to draft day of 2022, and here's Mike Vrabel hating the trade as it happened. Now, Robinson should be credited for helping build the Titans into one of the most physical teams in the NFL. He liked drafting big, nasty players, and it has worked until basically the last 2 drafts. Tennessee took a big chance on the ultra-talented corner Caleb Farley due to his very concerning back injuries. Farley, by the way, is done for the season and needs, yeah, you guessed it, back surgery. Adam Schefter reported that he needs a microdiscectomy, which is what I thought was when the doctors go in and split your already very tiny penis into 2 even smaller penises. But I guess this will help with his herniated disc. It's way too early to judge the 2022 draft for the Titans. I think give Treylon Burks some time, but ultimately this shows how little what you have done in the NFL matters compared to what you just did. The Broncos do play the Chiefs on Sunday, a game infamously flexed out of prime time. Do you know how bad you have to be for the NFL to take Patrick Mahomes out of a primetime game and put the Chargers into one? I'm not gonna answer that. It's rhetorical, and don't tell me about it in the comments, okay? Now, Denver is trying to avoid 14 straight losses to the Chiefs. It's gotten so bad that new team owner Rob Walton, in a motivational move, has replaced all of the toilet paper at the Broncos facility with the cheapest one-ply toilet paper Walmart sells until the team wins. And yes, that also applies to Russell Wilson's bathrooms at his home. Furthermore, every player will now be forced to eat Taco Bell or Chipotle twice a day, forcing
unlimited diarrhea. Unlimited.
Ain't no motivator in life like bad toilet paper and a leaky sphincter. Now, Congress finally finished their Dan Snyder thing, and their conclusion? Well, it's that John Gruden is so white, he makes Dan Snyder look like a Sicilian mafia don with possible Latin roots as well. They also concluded the NFL did indeed do a horrible job with their investigation of the Washington football team toxic workplace, and that they whitewashed the evidence to save face. Former Washington GM Bruce Allen testified that Dan Snyder did leak the Gruden emails, and that he at the very least wanted a private eye to follow Roger Goodell. Put simply, Dan Snyder is fucked. Put simply, the NFL is screwed. Another nugget to come out of this, outside of Dan Snyder claiming to not have an email account, was Bruce Allen revealing Snyder wanted to fine tackle Trent Williams to the max instead of extending him. Also, if you recall, the football team misdiagnosed a cancerous growth on Trent Williams' head and then tried to nickel and dime him to death. They wanted him to die, I'm pretty sure. But for my own sanity, I will not rehash this whole Dan Snyder situation, but what I do want to discuss is what will be the biggest story to come out of this investigation, and that's John Gruden is almost guaranteed to win his lawsuit against the NFL and will be able to add the Commanders and Dan Snyder to the suit. Dan Snyder hates Roger Goodell, and now he will be a defendant with him in this lawsuit, all while Dan Snyder will certainly be ousted from his ownership position. And not only will John Gruden be rewarded for emailing like a 14-year-old boy, he'll end up winning more money in this suit than he possibly would have made coaching out his $100 million contract with the Raiders. Classic John Gruden though, right? Getting his biggest win after being forced to leave the Raiders.
I'm gonna send Walt some emails when I'm done here today. No.
To be able to come in here 10 minutes ago and help lead us to a victory. See you guys on Monday. Baker Mayfield.
All right, and the Baker Mayfield comeback story. I think based on this one game alone, Baker Mayfield has just bought himself an extended career in the NFL. Hopefully, it's with the Rams, playing the rest of this season, progressing with Sean McVay, and then backing up Matthew Stafford for a bit. Keep in mind, in 2023, that will be Stafford's 15th NFL season, and while he's been tough as hell his entire career, he's getting to an age where injury issues linger. So even in backing up Stafford, Baker could see playing time with the Rams. Now, if you watched the Rams-Raiders game on Thursday Night Live, you may have noticed broadcaster Kirk Herbstreit mentioning that Baker Mayfield was in town for just 2 days, approximately 8,000 times. Yes, Kirk, we know Baker just arrived to play for the Rams. Herbstreit was like, Derek Carr drops back to pass, hits Devontae Adams, who reels this in one-handed. Oh my God, how did he catch that? Well, it's still not as impressive as Baker Mayfield starting this game after just 2 days with the Rams, but good catch. Honestly, Baker was familiar with this system based on his time with Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, which I think actually gave the Rams a bit of an advantage in this game. The Raiders, on a short week, had no idea what quarterback they'd be getting, what plays they'd be seeing, and Josh McDaniels proved he still does not know how to coach a second half of a football game. Take note from my man Josh Nate Dogg Hackett. Don't know what you're doing for the entire game. Now, QB John Wolford got the start in Thursday's game, but only lasted one series before Sean McVay threw in Baker Mayfield to face the Pirates. I was very surprised Baker went in on the second series after Wolford got the start, but Mayfield came in and on his first 3 passes, hit for 21, 22, and 22 yards, including a conversion on 3rd and 13. His second drive was ultimately foiled by Chandler Jones punching the ball out of Cam Akers' hands in the red zone. That obviously helped set the stage, though, for one of the greatest comeback wins this season. And we got Derek Carr dropping back here under pressure, throws to the end zone, and oh no, it's picked off! Wow, not even Baker Mayfield, who's only had 2 days to prep with the Rams, would have done that. Did I tell you how impressed I am with Baker, Al? And just like on Monday night, when we watched the Buccaneers trailing the Saints 16-3, the Rams were trailing 16-3 in the fourth. And just like the Saints, the Raiders with opportunities could not score late or take advantage of those opportunities to put the game away. So Baker and the Rams put together a long touchdown drive that got them within a TD in the fourth. Cam Akers scored with just 3:19 left in the game, and the Rams defense did exactly what they needed, forcing a 3 and out. LA only had 1 timeout with 3:19 left, and then the Raiders punter boomed a 64-yard perfect punt that rolled down the sideline, ultimately stopping on the 2. Everyone watching thought that was the death knell. No freaking way Baker Mayfield and the Rams are gonna drive 98 yards in 3.5 minutes with 1 timeout to get a touchdown. We'd be hard-pressed to believe Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen could do that. Instead, Baker does lead a 98-yard game-winning drive. What's not being discussed, though, is that it was aided by a Raiders pass interference call, and most controversially, this unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Jerry Tillery hits the ball out of Baker's hand, which is a penalty. But along with taunting is one of the softest rules in the NFL. I hate that this cost the Raiders the game. I just don't understand how in the game of football, this is so offensive, it needs to be flagged, especially in the fourth quarter.
Dick Butkus
is old enough to remember when that was not a penalty. The other thing lost in Baker Mania is the fact that Ben Skoranek made one of the toughest, most clutch catches of the night. Not Devontae Adams. Every great comeback needs a dude just making a play that he probably only makes a handful of times in his career, maybe ever again. Baker, then shocked to see press coverage, drops a dime in the end zone to Van Jefferson Airplane, who makes another great catch for the win and all the glory. An all-time amazing catch, a terrible Raiders penalty helped that final drive. My point, Baker's getting all the credit for that final drive, and there were some other key moments. What he's not getting enough credit for, though, is getting that dub without Cooper Kupp, without Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball. Donald, Kupp, and Stafford, literally 3 of the Rams' 4 best players out with injury, and Baker orchestrates an all-time clutch drive. Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad threw up in the middle of the night, but he did know exactly why. He knows Baker's got some juice left. And it'll be fun to see where this goes with the Rams. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Don't forget to come back for my Broncos Chiefs live stream, and of course, possibly the new worst game ever.